Before I get into the description of the problem, I first want to address why water sanitation is so important and what some public health issues are that arise from poor water sanitation. Water sanitation is important because around the entire world, 1.1 billion people lack access to safe water. 780 million people don't have access to improved water source. 1.8 million people die every year from diarrheal diseases, and 2.5 billion people lack adequate sanitation. Access to safe water sanitation is important because it is a moral and ethical imperative, rooted in the culture and religious traditions around the world. The values of dignity, equality, compassion, and solidarity are the values that give the poor households the right to have water. Safe water sanitation is important for the human health, especially children. Girls and women would be able to have better educational and productive opportunities. Some of the economic benefits of safe water and sanitation are that people would suffer less morbidity and mortality from water-related diseases. Also, there would be a reduction of diarrheal episodes by 10% around the world. Water sanitation is important because it can improve lives at all ages. Child mortality can be reduced at ages from 0 to 4 years. Children would be able to go to school, especially girls, and enable children to escape from their families of poverty for ages 5 to 14 years. Productivity and gains would be achieved for ages of 15 to 59 years. Also, anyone over 60 years old could live longer. Some public health issues that arise from poor water sanitation and hygiene worldwide are Guinea worm disease, Barlow ulcer, trachoma, and trichomoniasis, which people can be affected by them by unsafe water, poor sanitation, and hygiene. Also, people can get soil transmitted illness from a lack of sanitation. Diarrhea is the second leading killer in the entire world, which kills 801,000 children who are under 5 years old each year. This means that 2,200 children die every day from diarrhea. Diarrhea deaths mainly happen in areas that are in the world's poorest region. So now I'm going to begin the description of the problem. Water issues in Bolivia began when towns and urban areas in Bolivia start experiencing droughts due to climate change. Towns in Bolivia get their water from glaciers like the Andes and mountains and Calitalia Glacier, which is melting very quickly. 51% of the population in Bolivia is below poverty line. 10% of the richest uses 45.7% of the resources, while the poorest 10% have to share a meager 1% of resources, which resulted to water wars. About 2.83 million people in Bolivia don't have access to water services, and 57% of it is in rural areas. 5 million people in Bolivia don't have access to sanitation services, and 43% of it is the people in rural areas. According to Water for People, access to drinking water is 71%, and sanitation coverage is only 10%. According to Water for People, in 2011, water service that is available to everyone was only 34%, and in 2013 it went up to 42%, while the household sanitation is 29%. Students at Harvard Kennedy School did a report in 2011 on Ariane about their water, sanitation, and hygiene for people that live in the municipality area, central area, valley area, and mountain area. The students surveyed 404 people about whether they have access to drinking water from an improved water source. 88.4% said yes, and 11.6% said no to the municipality area. 94.4% said yes, and 5.6% said no in the central areas. 89.7% said yes, and 10.3% said no in the valley areas, and 80.3% said yes, and 19.7% said no in the mountain areas. The students surveyed 402 people about whether sanitation facility is improved or unimproved. The municipality has 54 improved sanitation and 46% unimproved. Central area has 76.8% improved sanitation and 23.2% unimproved sanitation. And Valley has 54.2% improved sanitation and 45.8% unimproved. And Mountain has a 30.3% improved sanitation and 69.7% unimproved sanitation. Hygiene is very important because it can reduce the percentage of diseases happening. For instance, people should be hand washing with soap after a cigarette, before eating, and before making food. When people wash their hands with soap, it can significantly reduce the chances of a diarrhea. Recent studies show that hand washing with soap decreases the amount of diarrhea about 50%. Not only does diarrhea happen if they don't wash their hands with soap, but people can get pneumonia, trachoma, sexually transmitted diseases, skin and eye infections, and diarrhea-related epidemic, like cholera and dysentery. The students then asked whether or not if soap is available to them, and the 217 people said, and the Maxwell Latino area is a 49.8% said yes, and 42.9% said no. 52.1% said yes, and 33.3% said no for the central area. 50% said yes, and 47.6% said no for the valley area. And 43.2% said yes, and 56.8% said no in the mountain area. The students asked 404 people when did they wash their hands with the soap, and 299 people said before or after eating, 279 said before cooking, 261 said after defecating, 67 said after handling livestock, and 16 said after cleaning a baby's bottom from the Maxwell Latino area. In the central area, 101 said after defecating, and 95 said before cooking, 94 said before eating, and 51 said after eating. And then the valley area, 89 said after defecating, 58 said before after eating, 110 said before cooking, 21 said after handling livestock, and 2 said after cleaning baby's bottom. In the mountain area, 74 said before cooking, 111 said before or after eating, 71 said after defecating, 27 said after handling livestock, and 10 after cleaning baby's bottom. The poor water, sanitation, and hygiene leads to diseases and even deaths. According to the World Health Organization, unsafe water, poor sanitation, and lack of hygiene cause 1.6 million deaths of children per year. According to the Foundation for Sustainable Development, a lack of sanitation and unsuitable eating for children under 2 years old can cause malnutrition. The risk of getting a contagious disease in Bolivia is very high, especially for food or waterborne diseases and vector-borne diseases. The most common diseases that cause illnesses and deaths in poor countries are water-related diseases. The most common diseases for food or waterborne are bacterial, diarrheal, and hepatitis A. Diarrhea is actually the second leading cause of death for children under 5 years old. This is because the children's bodies lose a huge amount of water, and their immune systems are too fragile to improve. A child dies every 20 seconds due to a water-related disease. The most common diseases for vector-borne diseases are dengue fever, malaria, and yellow fever. And that's it. And now I'm going to pass it on to Hannah.